All right, good day and welcome to Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM, and of course on the Joy Prime channel on Lexusville. You know, when I take a seat like this, it means that I've got an amazing guest who has a very wonderful story. And today we celebrate one phenomenal woman. Yes, in fact, she's had a very colorful life. But I tell you what, in September, her life is going to be even more colorful, both literally and figuratively. Yes, it's actually a time I'm looking forward to because of the stuff that she promises will be happening in her home. Yeah, I'll tell you all about it. But let me tell you about this guest of mine. She's got a very enviable profile. But listen, she's a trisector expert, bringing high expertise and accomplishments from the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors in Ghana and beyond. She's a Ghanaian business lawyer with 30 years plus experience, which has been deployed in the business law space, on the boards of international not-for-profits, and in the elections sphere. In fact, she has shattered many glass ceilings in her professional life. I'll take you through them. She's the first female chair of Ghana's National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE. She was the first female chair of Ghana's Electoral Commission, and within 3 years, presided over a local government election, parliamentary by-elections, and Ghana's globally acclaimed 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections. Listen, she was the first woman to assume the role of the president of the African Association of Election Authorities. And again, the first woman to be appointed as the vice chairperson of the executive board of the African Capacity Building Foundation headquartered in Zimbabwe. She was the first Ghanaian to be appointed by the United Nations and the President of Afghanistan in 2019 as an international elections commissioner to the Elections Complaints Commission of Afghanistan, and mandated to build the capacity of the country's electoral body to manage and resolve its elections-related disputes. In 2020, she was appointed as the leader of the ECOWAS Technical Commission to Liberia to clean up the country's voters' roll ahead of the December 2020 senatorial elections as well. She was also the deputy head of the ECOWAS fact-finding mission to Nigeria ahead of the 2019 general elections, and later as the technical expert that's legal to the ECOWAS long-term observer mission to the 2019 Nigerian general elections. Yeah, many firsts. It actually goes back to when she was in school as well. We'll get into it. Now, she is the founder and managing consultant of Cyrus Law. She was installed as a Safahin of Inkuma Safa Company of Uwa. In fact, that's where I plan on spending some time in September, on her invitation, of course, and you'll get to know all about it because the Uwa fashion is just around the corner. Help me welcome Her Royal Highness Nana Makesin, our former Electoral Commissioner, Madame Charlotte Osei, Nana and Her Royal Highness Safonim. Do I prostrate or something?
No, we'll get there.
Okay, all right. Sure. How are you? So good to see you.
I'm doing fantastic.
And I see you on the festive mood because you have you're rocking a 1653 Cape Coast Castle t-shirt here.
I'm wrecking it.
Girl! Wow, we're very close to it. Are you excited?
Very excited. It's exactly a month.
Listen, if you're watching us, you know we have a date. We're heading to Oguan this September, 1st of September, all through to the 8th. No, I still do want to experience
But beyond the vibes,
yeah.
there's also lots of custom, lots of tradition,
Yeah.
lots of very colorful display that is important. And Afashe is historically a time for reconnection, reconciliation. So that's when I get to forgive Kojo for all the sins over the years. And it's also the time where the Asapo companies that are very fundamental to the history and the culture of Cape Coast, they display. So it's going to be a huge cultural festival.
No, I'm here for it all. I'm coming for it all, and also the whiskey because I saw
the whiskey.
A certain brand of whiskey.
Oh, you should have, it's in my kitchen. You should have made that with that.
No. We just. I was like, wow, like lovely packaging. What's it called again?
So let me tell you the history before we get into that.
Okay.
If you are privileged to go and sit with Osei, he always brings out this keg of home-brewed whiskey that he forces you to drink, compels you to drink. And we thought it would be a very cool idea to do a whiskey named after the palace, which captures that act of hospitality that he extends as part of the fascia celebrations and beyond. And so that's how the whiskey idea came about.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually have two varieties, the whiskey itself and then the bitters. And these are all based on his instructions and trying to replicate his recipe. I'm not sure I think we got close, but not quite.
Yeah.
The feedback has been very good.
Yeah.
I will make you drink some before you go, and you must say on air what it tastes like.
You actually want me to drink it before the interview ends? Do you know what it means?
That?
No, no.
What does that mean?
You know what it means, right?
What does it mean? I'm all innocent here. What does it mean?
If I drink whiskey on the job, right? Okay.
It means what? You taste that?
I'm just not sure
It means
how
you're
the rest of the conversation will go.
You're just taking it simple. You're just taking it simple. I didn't tell you to get drunk.
For me, it's taste not or drink.
After the interview, after the interview.
Anyway, so you're also the Sapohin
Yes, of the Nkrumah
as a company.
Yes.
Right? What's that? I want to understand it.
Okay, so Cape Coast has 7 Asafa companies. And again, if you know, the theme of this year's Afasha is celebrating the city of first, our people and our future. And that's because there's a lot of historical firsts associated with Cape Coast. You went through my profile and the word first kept coming up. It's the DNA. It's the DNA.
Wow.
So we also founded the Asafo companies. And it's such a privilege that Nkrumah Asafo were the first Asafo company in Cape Coast. And so they are the landlords. This is directed at a certain Kojo Yankson. They are the landlords of Cape Coast. And our number is 4 because of some historical intervention, again, by the colonial leaders. It should have been 1, but it's okay. Our number is 4, and our color is yellow.
Yeah.
So when you are Safohin, so the Asafo companies are led by the Supis. So the Supis are like the commanding generals, and the Safohin are the captains.
Oh.
So it's really a leadership role in a company of warriors.
Okay.
And our job is to protect the Ogwai state.
It's interesting you're so embedded in this because hitherto I'd hardly not associate you with Cape Coast. Because the bit I know about you, I'd hear a bit of Nzima here,
Yeah.
a bit of
I do have
Nigeria here as well.
There. I do have roots in Axim.
Okay.
Nsai in Axim. But there's also family roots in Cape Coast, in Bakano and Eswatiri. And it's true, I was almost more inclined to the Nzima side. And then in December 2021, I took my family and we spent 2 weeks in Cape Coast over the Christmas holidays. And that kind of was something happened, there was a shift. And I felt I had not been loyal to that side of my ancestry. And I felt a really strong connection and the need to do some stuff there and start giving back.
Okay, okay.
And so I started some stuff which would become public later on. But I felt the need to give back. And it's really a spiritual call. It's very deep. I have a lot to do in Cape Coast, and I feel I have to do it.
I see. Where did you grow up?
I grew up early life in Nigeria and then in Accra.
You were born in Nigeria?
No, I was born here.
You were born here?
And then my parents worked in Nigeria with Shell.
Okay.
My father was a marine engineer. And then I came back later.
So would you say that was a privileged upbringing? You had a privileged upbringing?
For some parts of it, yes. Just cozy, just nice. But the thing about my family, we managed to be happy even in tough times. So I don't feel any sense of loss in terms of the tough times that came.
There were tough times?
There were tough times.
Like when?
Oh, that will come in my book. There were very tough times. My mother was widowed very early, and that We went through some very tough times. But
How old were
we
you at the
prevailed.
time?
When my mother was widowed, I was
Yeah.
8.
8.
And I'm my mother's oldest child. Not my father's, but my mother's.
And you have fresh recollection of those moments?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think to a certain extent, it's influenced a lot of the way I live my life.
How?
Oh, my mother was a housewife when she was widowed. And the flip was tough on us as kids because it's one day of privilege and then the next day it was a very different kind of life. And so I've always felt the need to work to earn a living. And for people who know me, they know that most times I don't do just one thing. I always make sure I have different streams of income. I think that's kind of my security, my response to that incident.
To that incident. If you were to share some of the values probably your mom instilled in you at that age, especially when you were going through those times, what would they be?
I do recall that even when we lacked physical things, we were always happy. There was always laughter. And my mom inculcated in her kids a strong love of reading. Integrity was important. So you'd be punished more for telling a lie than for the actual act of mischief. You know, mischief can be forgiven, but telling a lie, you'll be punished. And we were never physically punished.
Oh, never?
Never.
So
Never.
what kind of punishments were?
Oh, my mother will wake you up at 2 a.m. for a discussion, which usually would end up in tears on your side. Yeah. But, or would have a family congress to discuss your sins. But there was never any
But that was
physical.
not punishment.
You would come
That was a
out.
conference.
You would come out feeling very punished. But even my dad never hit any of the kids. Never. No. I don't recall any physical punishment. I lived with my stepmom. Never.
Okay.
Never.
I see.
So violence is just not a part of
Yeah.
my family.
Yeah.
No.
What kind of profession were you inclined to at the young age? Did you?
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Oh dear.
So I didn't want to go to uni.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't want to go to uni?
No. I wanted to be a florist.
Oh boy. Okay.
I was 18 and I wanted to be a florist.
Now I'm connecting the dots. Okay,
Yes.
you finish your story because
And
I
my
need to
father's-
let the one watching and listening know a little secret. Boy, oh boy. Okay, go.
And my
go
father
ahead.
said, hell no, your A-level results are good and you're going to university. And then I don't know why, I had this brilliant idea that I would do economics and statistics. And my father said, no, you're going to study law, so he who pays the fees decides. And so I ended up studying law.
But a florist, what did that idea come from?
I've always loved plants,
Okay.
always.
You don't recall a certain moment in your probably younger age where you were introduced to plants and you're like, okay, yeah, I'd want to do this.
I grew up, early life was in Shell Camp in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, which was a very pretty place to grow up in. And most of the houses had flowers.
Okay.
And my mom always had plants, but not on the obsessive level that I have it.
Well, there we go.
I told you I'd tell you something, right?
Shame on you. I've said it myself.
Guys, listen, her home is a whole flora dungeon.
People watching, this is not true. It's a very unfair representation of my home.
I am impressed. I just didn't think that somebody would be this obsessed about plants and have plants literally everywhere, inside, outside.
You know, you're making me sound very crazy to the public.
But
Let the
wow,
world know
I'm
Lexis
impressed.
is a very mean person. Don't do his interviews.
I see. So now the path was, okay, you're going to read law, you become
Yeah.
a lawyer, and you were in tune with that.
I don't think anybody cared whether I was in tune with it or not. But I did it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. Law was fun.
Right. Which secondary school did you attend?
In Ghana National.
Ghana National,
Yeah.
okay. And then you did law at Legon?
Legon, yeah.
Legon. You'd
And I was in
later travel out
Baltimore.
to do your master's at Queen's?
Yeah, I did my master's at Queen's in Canada.
Okay.
That was a good experience.
Right. And when you were done, you came back?
I came back.
You came back, got called to the bar?
No, I was called to the bar in 1994.
Okay.
It was after my call that I went to Queens.
Oh, so after that you
I
went
finished at Queens in 96 and I came back to Ghana January of 97.
And that's when you started working also as a part-time lecturer or TA? Was that a TA that you were doing?
No, I was a TA right after law school. You know, the National Service year.
National Service, yeah.
And I was also practicing with Lai and Company.
Okay.
And then when I finished the TA, National Service, then I went to Canada.
Yeah.
And when I came back from Canada, I went back to Lai and Company.
Okay.
And I left Lai sometime mid of 1997.
Right.
I was at Bensi Angel for a very short period, and then I went to Ghana Commercial Bank. And while I was at Ghana Commercial Bank, the dean, Professor Ikwe here, who is like a mother, wanted me to come and lecture part-time.
Okay.
So that's when I started lecturing part-time. So yeah, I did start lecturing very early. And it's fun these days when I meet some of my former students.
They're all grown up. And
They're all grown up. They're like directors in banks, immigration. I meet them.
They don't call you madam?
They still do. They said I was tiny, but I was a terror.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a terror of a lecturer. I was very tough on marking.
You're focused on commercial law.
Yes.
And not maybe criminal law and whatnot. Was it anything to do with who you are?
I've never been attracted to criminal law. I don't know why. I think commercial law because before I finished my law school exams, I was recruited into Lai and Company before my results were out.
Okay.
And Lai and Company was a pure commercial corporate law firm. And I started practice there and I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And so I just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd spent a few years at GCB?
I spent a few years at GCB, and then I got a call from a friend. Unibank was looking for a company secretary, legal.
Yeah.
And I thought, this would be a nice challenge. They had just started, and so you had to set up all the structures.
Yeah.
So I moved to Unibank, and I spent a few years there. I set up all the structures, HR, credit.
Oh, you set up almost all the structures?
In terms of legal.
Legal, yeah.
Company secretaryship.
Yeah.
In terms of credit, you know, the whole credit process and the interface with legal, you know, securities, documentation, collateral and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I left and I started my own firm.
How was that experience at Unibank for you?
I enjoy Unibank because I get bored easily. But at Unibank, I got to do many things. So you're doing legal, there's some HR work, there's operations, there's board issues, there's drafting policies, there's regulatory issues, engaging Bank of Ghana. So I enjoyed it because it was a whole gamut of stuff I had to do.
Kind of give you an experience in almost every other
Yes.
department, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also because Unibank was very focused on small businesses, I got to engage with a lot of small businesses and I got to see what their challenges were. And that's what even made me go and do a master's in business leadership. Because I really wanted to understand that the structure of businesses, why some businesses thrive and why some don't.
I see.
So that was good.
Wow. That's interesting because many years later, Unibank will collapse.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it's sad. It's a part of my history. I knew a lot of the people who were working there, who were leading the bank at the time of the collapse. So that was sad, but
it is what it is.
Life happens, yeah.
Yes, it is what it is. Anyway, if you're just joining us, this is Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM. And today I'm spending time with Nana Makeson, or Charlotte Osei, our former Electoral Commission chairperson. Getting to know a bit about her life and, of course, the journey to Ogwa. Yes, we're going to have a good time in September, and we'll tell you all about it a bit later. Okay. So now you're done with Unibank and you decide to set up your own firm. Is that it?
yes.
Why?
Why not? What's wrong with setting up your own firm?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with that, but I was just curious. You had a very good job, you know,
yeah,
it was good.
I had a good job. I was being paid very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I think it was mostly, at the time, I had a young family, and I thought banking was taking up too much of my time.
Okay.
And I wanted to be able to set my own pace and have more time for the family. That was really the primary motivation at the time. And I also had a few friends who were trying to run their own businesses, and they'll have all this legal stuff and they'll call me.
Yeah.
So I thought, why don't I just restructure my life and do that? And so that's how I started the firm.
But that must be challenging, you know, starting from scratch especially. Was it?
It was, but isn't that life? A new challenge.
Because I'm
It was
thinking, I mean, you're starting something new, you're really not sure of how the journey is going to be. You know, you're already plugged in the system when you're employed, right? But now you have to
I
create
do a
a
lot
system
of
for
things
yourself.
based on instinct. I don't.
Based on
give-
instincts?
Yeah, I don't give fear a lot of space in my life.
I see.
You look at me like, I knew she was crazy.
I mean, I knew you were crazy, but I didn't think it was on that level.
No, I don't give fear a lot of space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear is not of God.
So you wouldn't say there were much challenges when that firm, that private firm started?
No. I just did it. And it worked out. It worked out great.
Okay. So here's where I have a problem again. So that worked out. I mean, I was expecting to hear, oh no, it didn't work out again. It didn't work out so well.
The firm is still
and
running.
so that's why I decided to take a job at the NCCE.
No,
But
I never decided to do that. No.
you never decided?
No.
But it was actually after you were doing private practice, but you got the job at NCCE.
Yeah.
So why did you take up that job?
Again, call to duty. Professor Mills had been my lecturer at Legon, and then at the law school. He taught me commercial law at Legon, and he taught me company law at the law school.
Okay.
And was always like a mentor. I remember when I was applying for master's programs, he did reference forms for me and all that. And then I got a call that I was to meet a gentleman I'd never met before, Mr. Kwame Nahoy.
Ah.
So I went to have a meeting with him, and he said, Prof wanted me to come and chair the National Commission for Civic Education. I was like, First answer was no. And then he said, go and think about it. And I went and I consulted with my husband, some friends, and everybody said, oh, absolutely.
Why was the first answer no?
I was enjoying private practice. I had never thought about going into the public sector, never. It was just not something that was in my sphere of imagination at all.
Right.
I was a pure private sector person. Remember, I'd finished a 3-year master's in business leadership, which is actually, they had a 2-year MBA, and I chose to do the 3-year one, which was a master's in business leadership. So I was very focused on private sector. And then life happened.
So what was the deal breaker?
I had a lot of respect for Prof. And it was almost like, for everybody, if you care about this country and you mean well for this country, then it's a call to service. And when I've now learned that when there's a call to service, your answer should be yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it.
You were there for almost 4 years.
I was there for 4 years.
4 years. Do you recall some of the things that you probably would say you did and, you know, you're proud of?
Oh, there's a lot. There's also a lot I'd like to keep for my book in future.
Okay.
There were some very interesting challenges, but in spite of the valleys, there were a lot of mountains as well. And there were some very good people there, and I'm proud of some of the good work that we did for the commission. It was hard work. The NCCE has offices all across the country. So I remember my first shock the first day when I asked how many staff I had, and they said 1,800. And at the time, I was 42. So it was a bit daunting, but I'm proud of some of the work. We did a lot of good work. I got to find out a lot about the country. There's some really good research that happened that I still refer to. And it was a good introduction to public service in Ghana.
What was the biggest challenge within that period?
Financing.
Okay.
It's always be under-financed by government. So there's all kinds of important things you need to do. The mandate is really important, but you never really have the budget for it. And so you have to come up with interesting ways of raising budget from other institutions and international bodies without straying from your mandate. So that was a challenge.
So how different was the public service from your previous life?
Very different. Very different.
Which one would you say was the sharpest contrast for you?
I think for someone like me who had worked all her life in Accra, you tend to think Ghana is Accra and Accra is Ghana. So you get into public sector, a place like NCCE, and immediately you realize that Ghana is not Accra. And so when you are crafting policies or taking action, you need to think about the implications on other parts of the country and realize that they don't necessarily have the same kind of infrastructure, the same kind of resources, the same kind of accessibility that people in Accra have. So that was really, that was a huge lesson for me. And it came very early.
Yeah. But like you rightly said, it was a very good introduction to public service, because your next role after that was
fire.
was probably one that a lot of people don't want to be sitting there, but you actually took that as well. 2015, you were called up again. I don't know whether you were called up or you applied.
No.
And I don't know why you
never
would do
apply
that.
for those things.
I know, right?
And when they are smart, they never even tell you. They just make the announcement.
They just, okay. Put on your head.
Yes, because if they ask you.
Come along.
If they ask you, you may not agree.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And it was quite instructive at the time, because we had an EC
Dr.
chair,
Farijan,
Dr. Farijan, who has been there most of my adult life, and as well, you were going to be the first female chairperson of the EC. Please take me through the whole conception of the idea.
The conception would not come from me. You'd have to go and ask the appointing authority.
Yeah, but from when you first heard of anything of the sort, the possibility of you being the EC chairperson?
Yeah, your first response again was no.
It was a no. Why was it a no again?
Because of the same reasons that you've just mentioned. Who wants to walk into fire? And I also had to think about my family. And I think in retrospect, I was right, because my family took a huge bashing from that role. So yeah, it was no, and again, it was the same argument. It's a call to service, difficult elections coming up, and.
So then what made you take it?
Would you have preferred if I didn't?
Well, I think that's a question your family needs to answer now.
Look at the outcome.
See,
as for my family, they are very clear in their mind. But, it's always a privilege to serve your people in any capacity, whether it is EC chair, or it is mother, or it is Safuhin. It's always service. I think it's the highest form of whatever. Yeah.
So how did the news come to you?
Oh, I was not in the country. I was at a funeral outside the country. And then I got a message that this announcement was about to be made. But within 2 minutes of getting that message, I started getting messages from people congratulating me.
That's how you got to know you had been appointed.
The rest of what happened that day, I would keep for my book, but it was very interesting. It was very interesting, yeah.
Then you didn't even get a chance to say no.
If you were the one appointing me, would you give me the chance to say no?
Well, of course not. I
Exactly.
won't. Okay, now reality dawns on you. You're probably now crying at the funeral, and they think that it's because of the
You got
person
it right.
who passed.
I was crying,
But you,
you're so right. Oh gosh, you're so right.
they wouldn't know why you were actually
Yeah,
crying.
yeah.
Now it's a reality. You're the EC chairperson. What was going on through your mind at the time?
So I was asked to come back to the country immediately, so I made arrangements
Yeah,
and I came back.
yeah,
And then there was a swearing in, and
yeah.
we got to work.
Was it like what you envisioned before getting in there?
I tried not to envision some things. It's better you walking with a blank slate.
Yes. But what was it like when you got in there?
There were some things I expected. I remember my husband telling me, look, there's going to be attacks, but I think it was worse than we anticipated. And the sheer pettiness of some of it and the creative fiction that came with it was quite surprising.
Did you think about all the political partisan approximations that people will make at the time, you know, that an EC is appointed and now they are digging into your political affiliations and whatnot? Did that bother you?
I don't mind people digging into my political affiliation. That's to be expected if you are appointed EC chair, but do not make it up.
Okay.
I woke up to posters of me having contested for an election. Look, I've never wanted to be member of parliament, never. And I still don't want to be member of parliament. It's not one of the things on my vision board.
Not even for Cape Coast?
No, no.
With all that you're doing, I hear people say,
No,
you make a good member of parliament.
Well, they can find somebody else. I don't want to be a good member of parliament. I don't even want to be a bad member of parliament. So it's never been. And so I was surprised to see posters of me running for office in Evaluator.
But were you a card-bearing member of any political party?
I've never joined any political party, even now.
I see.
At this, my ripe old age, I've never joined any. And the funny thing about even that poster was at the time, my uncle, Kujama, was actually running for MP in Evaluator. How was I going to be running against my uncle? There would have been a family meeting. So, I mean, I woke up and I saw all these posters.
Yeah.
So it's okay to dig into the history, but there was a lot of fiction and people coming up with stories.
Yeah.
That's where the issue is.
But then now probably you had been introduced to a whole new concept of working now. Nothing like what you did at GCB or Unibank or probably even the NCCE.
Public service is very different.
Exactly.
No, NCCE and EC are very similar.
Very
it's the
similar.
same structures, same rules, but very different from private sector.
Yes, yes. But now you are at the helm of a very, should I say, delicate institution that was probably a few months away from conducting one of the biggest elections in the country.
Yeah.
Tensions were quite high. How did you manage that as well?
Okay, so the thing with that job is you need to block out a lot of things. So the people who worked with me and people who were close to me knew not to send certain things to me, so that you're focused on doing the job and doing it right. So my thing was just follow the law. What does the law say? Follow the law. And if you start listening to this person is saying this, that person is saying that, then if you're not careful, you start wavering. You just follow the law. You block out a lot of things and you don't take things personal.
Right.
So as for the insults there, there'll be plenty. But you just don't take it personal. You just know that it comes with the territory. And you don't internalize it and you just do your job.
Yeah.
And so that was my approach. And then you just clean hands, clean heart, do your work.
You know how they say elections in Ghana can be very dangerous. And then really, around those times, tensions are quite high. Very delicate moments. People are very passionate about their political parties and whatnot. Were you or your family in danger around the time? Were you exposed
there were some threats.
There were threats?
There were threats. Through the mail, there were threats. And sometimes the security agencies will also call you and warn you.
They'll do what?
Call you and caution you that there are some threats.
There are some threats.
So be careful, yeah.
How did your family take that? What were you going through at the time?
My family had a very difficult time because I had young kids. And sometimes even in school, there'll be abuse.
Even in school?
Even in school. Because children are repeating what they've picked up from their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my kids had a very difficult time.
Was there actually a point that you thought, look, this is not worth it? Why am I going through this? Why am I putting my young children?
Many times.
Many times?
Yeah.
How did you console yourself that it was right to stay on?
Oh, my family was very supportive. And they also recognized that this was for a season. And you know, all storms run out of water at some point.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, just be strong, let's get past this after the election.
Yeah. The most important part of your tenure was December 7 elections, 2016.
Yeah.
I remember how, you know, the pomp and pageantry, if I could put it that way.
For those of you on the outside.
Well, exactly.
Where I was, there was no pump.
There was no pump.
It was just work.
So people go to the polls December 7. Now all eyes are on the EC. And I recall 2016 how people were waiting for results. I mean, back at Joy FM, we had our election headquarters where we also do our independent collations sometimes and all. But obviously, we all had to wait for the EC. Next day, no results.
Why? Wait, hold up. Why were you guys expecting results on December 8th? I need to understand that.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying we're expecting results on December 8th, but right now.
But you just said next day, no results. Why would you expect results on December 8th?
Okay.
And if you recall, December 8th, there were 2 constituencies voting.
Okay.
Because of challenges with ballot papers and arguments, they didn't vote. And you guys actually wait. Hold on, let's break this down.
Yeah.
You expected me to announce results while people were standing in the queue waiting to vote. How would you feel if that were you?
Okay, barring that.
So we moved to December 9th.
No, hold on there. Barring the December 8th, the 2 constituencies thing was probably an outlier when it comes to preparations for that December elections, right?
Yeah.
Now, before then, Ghanaians were apprised of the whole new electronic computerized
did we
system.
commit to? What did we commit to?
We as in...
You see, there's what you choose to believe and then there's the facts. Hold on.
I'm not talking about beliefs here.
Hold on. Let's break this down because it keeps coming up.
Okay.
In 2016, we introduced an electronic results transmission system.
Right.
Go back and read everything we put out. We said this was not the legally recognized mode of results transmission. We were testing it as a parallel mode of transmission. It will do 2 things. We get results earlier, but it also gives a basis to compare the electronic to the manual. And we said if there was any disparity, we would go with the manual.
Okay.
And remember, this was a pilot. We also said we were hoping to announce results within 72 hours.
Right.
If you count from December 7th, count 72 hours, what day does that take you to?
Probably 10.
Thank you. What day did you announce results?
9.
So what is your beef?
I don't have a beef. What I'm saying is that once Ghanaians go cast their ballots,
They
what are
expect
they
results.
for? I'm not saying, you're not getting me. I'm not saying that immediately everybody is expecting the results.
Okay.
But I'm actually asking this particular question because, especially with the electronic transmission that had been promised, we woke up the next morning to hear that the EC system had been hacked. Was that true?
Yeah. The system went down. But I remember when I got the call, and I said, just go manual.
Did it go down or it was hacked?
Why? I should tell you everything. Why would you buy my book? You don't need to make money from my book. Lexus, you will read my book. I think that the danger that did was that results could not score like we had anticipated. If you remember, in 2016, we had opened up the strong room. You all were in there because we had a huge media room with everybody in there, including the candidates' agents.
Yes.
So it was in an open room. And the plan was, as the results came in, you would have all seen it on the large screen.
Right.
So when that system came down, we couldn't scroll the results. We had to wait for the manual system.
Right.
Now, the manual system requires that the candidate agents in the strong room sign off before we can put it out.
Right.
And we had a whole day when they refused to sign off.
They refused.
They refused to sign off.
All the parties.
Well, Again, details in the book.
Because I remember in the EC strong room,
In fact, I don't even know why I'm the one answering this, because you all were in that room. So ask your own agents who were in that big open room where we could see them, and they were sitting there, and they refused to sign.
Yeah, because I remember the former finance minister, Priata, was actually the rep for the NPC.
So I would love for you to go and interview him and ask him
why he refused to sign.
No, that's not what I said. That's not my question.
But you said they refused to sign.
Go and ask him.
Yeah.
What they did on that whole day while we were waiting for them to sign the results.
And they didn't sign.
And so I was sitting in my office and no results would come to me. And if results don't come from them, they sign off. Then I sign off. The EC cannot announce it.
Were you in communication with the two major flag bearers contesting? His Excellency John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency as well. You were in close communication with them, and they knew all this was going on.
They should have. It was their agents in the room.
Why then was there the impression that you were holding on to results at the time?
Give a dog a bad name and hang them. I don't know why anybody would think we want to hold on to results. We want it to be over. Elections are a lot of work.
Right. If you look back to that period, what do you think saw you through those tense moments and all the failures and whatnot? What really took you through? I'm talking about system failures and all of that.
I've always had really strong faith in God. And I've been blessed with a very supportive family. And I've also, when I think back over my life, I've had really, really good friends. I mean, I've had several betrayals like anybody else. But overall, I've had really, really, really good friends. So I cannot say I regret it. No, it was an absolute honor to serve. I did it to the best of my ability, and I'm proud of the work we did.
You were unceremoniously removed from office.
I think there was a lot of ceremony. How can you say all that drama was unceremonious? It was very ceremonial.
Okay.
Alexis.
My goodness, Charlotte. Goodness. Okay. So you were
ceremoniously
removed from office.
Me my due.
I remember the Chief Justice at the time, Justice Osei Akufu, set up a committee to investigate certain claims and whatnot. Were you surprised at the turn of events?
No.
You were not? No. Why were you not surprised?
I knew the people I was dealing with. I expected it. Because it was a whole drama. From the petition to, I wasn't.
You think it was orchestrated to just...
What do you think?
I'm not in your shoes. I wouldn't think.
Oh, go and read it. Go and read the petition and read the
But why do you think they would do all that?
As for the why, I don't know.
Was it a political plot?
You would have to ask them. I don't know.
Do you think it was?
Oh, my thoughts will be in my book, which you keep trying to destroy. But I would make my sales from my book.
I just need a page. The book, I'll help you sell it. You have no idea. I'm very good at doing this in traffic.
I understand.
So help me with the page to...
No. You ain't getting no pages.
You don't think it was a political ploy to just get rid of you?
I think a lot of things, but my thoughts will stay in my head until I'm ready to write them down.
Okay. I even have a feeling.
And there's no sneaky way you're going to use to get this information.
No, I actually think you're not even going to write the book.
Oh, I will write it.
I don't think you're going to write the book. You sound like
you're baiting
there's
me.
A lot. No, I'm not. You sound like there's a lot that you would definitely not want to tell.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I have 2 granddaughters. And because of them, I have decided I will write it, even if it's just for them to read. Because I think that as women, there's a lot they can learn from my life story.
Okay.
So I will write it.
But do you think your removal was unfair?
Do you think it was fair? Even the whole concept of fairness and unfairness is very subjective.
So based on your subjectivity and what your thoughts are, do you think it was unfair?
I'll answer in my book.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to end
It's
this
a brick wall.
and then introduce the book. Because at this point,
You will read my book.
I'm not trying to get, break the wall.
You are.
I'm just curious about really how you felt about it.
Oh, you care?
You are, of course I do.
Oh.
Come on, you have plants in your house.
Oh.
I'll definitely be sneaking in the backyard.
I know you want
sometime.
some. I'll give you plans, don't worry.
Yeah, that's true.
But
But give
you're
me
not
the
gonna
answer as well.
You're not going to get that answer
Do you
from
think
me
it
now.
was unfair?
I'll answer in my book.
Do you think you were treated fairly?
The pettiness of it was excessive, no.
Okay.
Excessively petty and very unnecessary, in my view.
You seemed happy to let it go because you didn't fight it, if I can put it that way.
It's a job, it's not my life. I mean, this is my 30th year of law practice. And I think I've had one of the most amazing legal careers. I've had the privilege of doing so many different things. I'm not going to let one job, it's just a job.
Yeah.
And that's my attitude to this stuff. It's a job.
Yeah.
It will have a beginning. It will have an ending. The ending may not be the way you anticipated, but it's an ending. Move
Right.
on. There's so much more to do.
Right.
Look, I could be selling plants tomorrow and I'll just be as happy. Titles and stuff don't really matter much to me. So
You did a lot of work in the sub-region when it comes to elections.
Yeah.
From Nigeria, Liberia, Zimbabwe, and probably a few more.
Yeah.
How similar are the landscapes when it comes to elections? Or different?
the politicians are certainly the same. The structure of the Electoral Commission may be different. The laws may be different. But even as far as Afghanistan, the politicians are very similar. Same playbook.
Same playbook?
Same playbook.
Wow.
It's actually funny when you meet election experts chatting. It's funny. We can anticipate what's going to happen. Yeah.
You compare notes and
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
it's funny.
I've seen this before.
Oh, we've seen it before. Yeah. Afghanistan, I could tell them a lot of things. I had a Kenyan colleague. We had seen all this before. Yeah.
So from your experience, what's the main problem with elections, especially on the African continent?
High levels of mistrust. The quest for political power is the value they put on it is a lot. And I think it's also because we've made it easy for people to make money from politics without having to explain.
Right.
So the need for that power is excessive. Unlike systems, well, America is, well, same thing. Systems where you don't have that much. So you see, like the British Prime Minister, you move into the house, elections happen, the following day he leaves the house with a few boxes. It's a very different system from here.
Okay. Wow, you had a very colorful moment in there, like I mentioned earlier, with a little drama. But
It's interesting.
in the aftermath, you seem to have, had a very less dramatic life.
Yeah.
What keeps you busy now?
What keeps me busy?
Well, apart from the plans.
Still have a law practice.
Yeah.
And I noticed a slight jibe on my plants, but I'll let it go. Yes, my garden keeps me busy. My family keeps me busy. Cape Coast keeps me very busy for this season because I have a lot of things I want to do there. I'm leading towards Afashe and beyond.
Yeah.
Afashe.
Yeah.
There are some things I have
Now,
to
before
do.
we talk about Afashe, this year is also an election year. You've presided over our elections, seeing it as a returning officer. What would you say your expectations are of this year's elections? What's your message to Ghanaians ahead of the elections this year?
I'm not sure I have a message for Ghanaians, but I, like every other right-thinking Ghanaian, I pray for a peaceful process. I pray that we do not have any loss of lives. I pray that we have an outcome that is not contested. And I pray that we have a good leader, a leader who has the people of Ghana at heart and who means well for the people of Ghana. And I would wish that before we vote, we would pray and then vote and then pray and have a peaceful outcome.
I actually chanced on the latest Afrobarometer report, which actually says that the trust in the Electoral Commission is at an all-time low. I mean, you've been there before. What do you think they're doing wrong? Is there something you would probably think they should do to regain the trust?
I don't read the news as much as I should, so it's hard for me to prescribe any, to make any prescriptions as to what they should do. But that being said, there are principles of electoral justice, there are principles of electoral integrity. And when you follow those principles as an election management body, you would find that trust would increase. There's also, I remember when I took over at the Electoral Commission, because of the 2013 election petition, there was very low trust in the election management body. And that was the reason behind a lot of the things we did. In fact, there was a UNDP-sponsored research that even recommended a change in logo that I was almost crucified for. But those were things about repositioning the EMB to build trust and confidence in the EMB. But beyond the logo and the strategic plan and those things we did, one of the key things we did was to open up the process.
Okay.
And so that's why we had things like this enhanced strong room with TV cameras in there. And I remember even on election day, we had a media management hub responding to queries on social media. Joy FM was in that room. I was in that room myself. And then we had the operations hub. Another thing we did was in the run-up to the elections, I don't know if you recall, we even had a TV program where we played out scenarios and we engaged new voters, women. Those were all actions aimed at enhancing confidence in the elections management body, because when people understand the process, then they are more confident about the process.
Okay.
And so the engagement, and I don't mean communication, engagement. We were at the houses of chiefs, we were at the Christian Council, Catholic Bishops' Conference. We did a lot of engagement. And so those were the things. So we started with a very low Afrobarometer rating as well. I think it was in the 30s. And by the time of the elections, it was in the high 80s.
Okay.
And I remember there was also an Afrobarometer report that said that 90+% said they would accept any results announced by the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
So that enhanced confidence was the result of the enhanced engagement.
Okay. Okay.
And just following the principles of electoral justice, letting people have their say. We met with CSOs, we met with political parties, so it helps.
Okay, good stuff. What's the biggest lesson life has taught you, if you had to share one big lesson that life in general has taught you?
Oh, and it came to pass. Everything always comes to pass, whether good or bad. It will always come to pass.
I see.
What? Why, you want more?
No, I'm just contextualizing.
But think about it.
Yeah, just thinking about it. Absolutely.
This job you're doing, it will come to pass one day. Good
You've
things. So even when you're facing any very negative situation, scandal, death, whatever, it to come to pass. You may not be the same after it, but you would survive it.
You've done a lot of firsts. You've had a lot of firsts. And I mentioned from distinction in school to first EC, first this, first that. You are more like a role model for a lot of women who look up to you. And I know you're also very, passionate about empowering women. Is there any message you'd have for women who aspire to be like you?
I would hope that they aspire to be better, bigger and better. And they need to build capacity. Skills are important. It's not just titles and positions, but build a capacity. And when you finish building capacity, build resilience. You need to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also drink some good wine or good
whiskey.
No,
you're drinking whiskey.
There you go. Good whiskey.
You're drinking whiskey.
I need that bottle here. Anita, if you can get me that bottle here, because it is heading to Cape Coast.
Oh, this will be fun.
Emin Simaze.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I don't even know.
Emin Simaze. It's Emin Simaze. Wow.
I have to find out.
And this is brewed in
Ghana.
In Ghana.
Yeah.
No, it's really lovely. Tell us about the Ogwa Fetu Afashe, which is starting on the 1st of September, right?
1st of September.
What are some of the activities happening?
Oh, we're starting it on the 1st, the Sunday, with a huge Aquaba Carnival. Ooh. So we'll have a float, we'll have masquerades, we'll have brass bands. I mean, the Cape Coast way.
Yeah.
Would have youth groups, everybody, church groups. And we would have a big float to welcome everybody from Agri Memorial Junction all the way to Chapel Square.
Okay.
And when we get there, it's the 100th anniversary of the birth of Ifwa Sutherland, who is also on the list of Cape Coast firsts.
Yeah.
So to honor that, we'll do a little bit of the drama, Marriage of Anansiwa.
Okay.
And then would have music, would have, the Asafo groups are always present. I'm sure they will do a display. Would have poetry, would have just like a bonfire night and talk. So that would be the first day. The second day we'll have a come night. We'll have a night of reverence at the castle to remember those who were victims of the transatlantic slave trade, and just recommit that should never happen again under our watch. So there'll be some poetry. There's a drama again there, Cape Coast, being put together by Image Bureau, George Quay and
the crew. That's
so
nice.
that's going to be good. And some poetry, some singing. Michelle McKinney Hammond will be there. And we're expecting our friends from the diaspora to join us.
Yeah.
And then I think on the Tuesday is the Bakatwe Regatta on the Tuesday, and that's like the colorful display. This year, all 7 Asafo companies are contesting. Okay. So we need donations for good prizes and to support them. You can brand the canoes. As you know, every Asafo company in Cape Coast has a distinct color. And if you don't remember any other color you want to support or brand, just remember yellow. They'll kill me for this.
I hear could you shouting lemon green in the back.
Lemon green. Oh, what a boring color. So we are going to have the 7 Asafo companies contesting.
Okay.
The women's groups are also going to take part in the canoe, the regatta. And then, let me see, what else is happening? I'm trying to remember. On the Thursday, we're going to have food fair, all kinds of foods that have never been seen before. Okay.
Sounds like a lot of exciting stuff happening. Remember.
Friday is the big Orange Friday Carnival.
That's the one I was looking forward to.
Yes, that, I know. And a lot of whiskey. A lot of whiskey is going to be drunk there. And then Saturday is the Thursday. Yes, I knew I'd forgotten something on Thursday. Thursday is the day our special guest of honor for this year's Afasha arrives, Otumfuo Osei Tutu, the second Asante Hene. Wow. So on the Thursday, Otumfuo is receiving an honorary doctorate from the University of Cape Coast.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So he'll come. And then on the Saturday is the Grand Durbar. That's where the Asafo companies would display some newly minted Safohin, like Kojo Yankson and a certain Charlotte Osei would be outdoored, yes. Okay. And then we'll have the grand procession through the streets of Cape Coast up to Victoria Park.
I see.
Osaberima and the main chiefs will come in their
Also,
palanquin.
Kojo Yankson would also be outdoors as a star for him.
In his lemon green. Yeah. I hope you took note of that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. When some are wearing yellow, bright, vibrant yellow, some will be in lemon green. But it's sad, but hey. And then Otumfuo is also, for the first time in the history of Ogwai, we're going to have an Asante Hene come in his palanquin.
Wow.
Into the Deba, and he'll go through some of the streets of
This
Cape
is
Coast.
historic.
It's historic.
This is beautiful.
And it's really a befitting end to the 60th Afashe and the 25th anniversary of Osaberima. During the week, we'll also launch the Osaberima Foundation.
Okay.
And there's an Asafo Art Gallery that is going to be open. So it's going to be a packed
Look, I'm looking
week.
forward to it. I'm excited about this, and I totally
There's a
would
football
love to
match
be there.
on the Sunday and
Okay.
a Thanksgiving service as well. So
Okay. No, it's exciting. If you're listening in, you might definitely want to clear your schedule for the 1st to the 8th of September. We're all heading to Ogwa.
But I need
for
to
the
talk
Fifth
about
Afashe.
Afashe in the park. This
Okay.
year, one of the major things we're introducing is Afashe in the park. So there's a huge land, beachfront, oceanfront land, 6 acres, and there we're setting up a park. So we're going to have all the food vendors there, drinks vendors,
Yeah.
kebabs.
Yeah.
If you want to sell clothes, if you want to sell whatever,
Yeah.
you're in there so that people are not roaming around looking. It's going to be open 24/7. There'll be
Yeah.
music, there'll be entertainment. Media houses are going to cover it as well.
Thank you so much, Nana Mackesson.
Absolute pleasure.
I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. I totally enjoyed it.
I did too.
I didn't want it to end, but yeah, we have to. But we are grateful that you got to spend time with us here on Personality Profile. God bless you so much.
Thank you. God
And
bless you
we'll
too.
see you in Ogwa.
I can't wait.
Yes, we'll see
Can't
you
wait
there.
to host you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we wrap up Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM and of course Joy Prime TV. I'm Lexus Bill. I've totally enjoyed this conversation. You can log on to our YouTube page, and if you missed any part of the conversation, you can relive it on your phone or on any computer. Yeah, thanks on behalf of my production crew. Have a good day.